Good morning and welcome along to the usual weekly live stream. It's Burnley, it's the Youth Academy Challenge, and we pick up every week where we've left off. It's great to see a couple of you waiting this week. There's so many of you along already, which is incredible. Thank you so much for popping along. As always, we'll be live for the next sort of hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, playing through a few games, trying to get Burnley on recovery after the last week, and see if we can take them back up the Premier League table and towards those European spots. But it is great to have you along. Thank you again for joining us. Please do get involved down in the chat below as the episode goes on. We really do enjoy it. It's great to get involved. We've got a really good little community here. And if you are here for the first time, please do check out the channel. Please do put a thumbs up on the video. I really do appreciate it all so much. L Gaming, good morning. Welcome along. Nice to see a couple of regulars. Charlie saying the Eagle lands at 12. He's not just being stupid, I can assure you. Joe, good morning. The reason Charlie's saying that, I've got to leave on time today because I've got an interview with a footballer at 12 o'clock over for the podcast channel. So that will be very, very timely this morning. Thankfully, I've done my research early. But let's go and crack on with Burnley, shall we? We'll get up with the chat as we get into the first game. We're against Manchester United. So as you remember from last week, and those of you that are here so far, most of you are here then, we weren't doing too well last time out. We went on this little rotten run. Since the start of September, we've not won a game. And we've lost against some average teams. I mean, the likes of Stoke 5-0, Leicester 3-1, Forest in the Carabao Cup. And now we've got this horrid run. 4 of the next 5 games are United, Liverpool, Arsenal and City. And they're the 5 we're hoping to get through today. So we need some recovery. Joe, I'm not too bad, thank you. How about yourself? I'm just starting to lose my voice a tiny bit. But we'll get through it, don't you worry. Craig, will you ever interview Alex Scott? I think she's great. Potentially. The one thing I can promise is you won't be interviewing her, son. It will be me. Thank you to everyone who's joining along. L Gaming over the last week, I've been alright. Work's been busy. The NHS is just starting to creep back to normal now. But otherwise, not too bad. I've got a job, I can't complain. How about yourselves? How are you all getting on? Craig, thoughts on Neil Warnock to Middlesbrough? Is that a done thing? Is that a rumour? Borough sack Woodgate. Oh, right. Jeez. That is... Well, he's the right man to keep him up with a few games to go. As a Luton fan, that is devastating news because Middlesbrough look like the second one who might drop in with Hull. Well, Neil Warnock is a character. It's good to have him in football. Probably ruins any chance of us getting an interview with him on the podcast, but maybe we can go for Woodgate instead. We'll give that a go. That's an interesting start to the morning. Joe, you're back at school Thursday. Jeez. Is it every day? How is it? Like an hour a day? I know most of the ones locally to me have been sort of an hour or 2 hours a day. So what are you going back for? How often are you going back? That's the main question, I guess. For those of you that are along this morning, thank you so much. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make such a difference as we go straight into the United game and we'll get chatting whilst that game's playing. We're in poor form. United have won 4 of their last 5. They've still got Wan-Bissaka and Chilwell there. Left back. A few interesting names. So there's a couple of changes from the last episode. You might remember that we finished by dropping Balogun and bringing Lowry in. And he did score in the game he played actually at Leicester. From the start he scored on the hour mark. But Balogun, his morale's brilliant now. We've had a chat with him and I feel like today's the day. Jack Vaughan's playing in the middle but he didn't have a great game last time. So let's bring Ossie Robinson back in. We need to go full strength or we're going to get beaten heavily. So Summerskill, Bonner, Simpson, Flauhaut and Wardley, Edmonds, Vinicia Xavier, Robinson and Torres, and then Harrott in behind Sunday Balogun. And we'll drop to balance once we get in there. Let's have a look through the chat. El Gaming, you're not back till September. I'm not surprised. And you've also said 2-1 to me. I mean, I appreciate the optimism and the faith, but that is unbelievably misguided. And the same for you, Charlie, with 2-0. I mean, have you seen the form? I did show you how the form was in the last couple of months. This Thursday then, 2.5 hours for the next 3 Thursdays. Oh, so it's just on the Thursday, is it? That's not too bad if it's 1 day a week. I know a lot of schools are spreading out the year groups. Charlie will be able to tell you more as a teacher. 4-4-2 for Manchester United. I'm not confident at all here. And I'm even more worried that you've all said I'm going to win. So let's go and get into the first half. Flauhaut's the skipper, and it's pretty much as you would expect from us. Let's just drop to that balanced mentality, as we've got a throw on the left early on, and Vinicia Xavier plays to the centre half. And this is the problem at the moment. We're just dallying in possession a bit. We're not really got that confidence. They're not zipping it about. And as we play out the back from Simpson, oh, he thought he was going to score an own goal there. Out to Bonner at right back, who gives it away. We haven't got that confidence. We're trying to play out. It's all going wrong. Thankfully, that first shot goes wide. Joe, 3-2 United. I think that's probably more reasonable. Craig, 6-0 United. This isn't Dorking Wanderers. I'm quite upset because of Preston v Luton. Oh, I forgot, yeah. I mean, I was quite pleased, to be honest, with the late goal. I did watch the game. As a season ticket holder, we got a free pass for iFollow. It was an interesting game. Preston probably the slightly better side, but Luton have done what they do at home so often. And to be fair, without the crowd, they did well to lift themselves. And Callum McManaman, he's not had the best season. He's nowhere near his best. He's not fit anymore, really. But he comes on and scores important goals quite a lot. And unfortunately, before that Middlesbrough news, as United have another shot, it had just about kept us in the relegation battle and with a chance of surviving, but I don't think so. It's only United, you should be fine. Well, I appreciate that optimism again, but I don't think we're going to be too good here. United have had the only shot on target so far, and we keep coming back in possession, deep in the pitch, and we're not really getting out. Harrott goes for a big switch, and it's undercooked, but it falls for Ossie Robinson. Into Vinicius, out to Bonner the right back. Now we've got a chance. Overlapping is Ferran Torres. Oh, he's taken too long. He's done very well to come out of that with the ball. And then he gives it away. What's he doing? He just got to go forward. Lucas got to go forward for United now. Into the box. Beats two and side netting. I've got to make a tactical tweak here, I think. We're going to go fullbacks as well. I'm not trying to go short passing or anything like that. I don't know why it's so bad. It's just confidence, I think. It will come back eventually. Thank you to everyone who's involved and along already this morning. We say it every week. I know 10 AM on a Tuesday is not ideal timing, but it's the only morning off work, so I have to make do with it. So thank you for everyone who's joining along. If you missed any at the start, there'll be a full stream replay available later. And if you haven't already, please put a thumbs up on it. It does make such a difference. Helps people spot us and helps people pop along. But a quarter of the game gone, and despite a lot of worrying moments, including another one there, Summerskill nearly running it in his own net, it's still 0-0. And now Edmonds finally has a chance. He beats two, he's into the box, going alone here. Oh, he's shot, Balogun can't get on the rebound. Keeper probably should have held that. Falls for Wardley at left back, and we're coming forward again. But this is it, it's too slow in possession. We're on the higher tempo, and they're just a little bit slow. Vinicius Xavier switches it. Torres beats his man. A goal would be confidence boosting, but that shot is tame and miles wide of the post. A good start though, not been a bad performance. And hopefully we'll be able to keep it up as we go along. Thank you to everyone who's joining along. I can see the views creeping up. It's good to see that even at this stage in the morning. As Paredes picks it up for United. Finds Capelli. Sierreveld. Back into Harrott who nicks it. He's got one up with him and that's Sunday Balogun. Torres busting a gut on the right wing and in he goes from Harrott's pass. On with the fullback. Doesn't beat him. He's lost the challenge. And again, just dallying in possession. He's Xavier. Chance to go wide. As always, let me know if there's any technical problems as Torres is in. That's a good save. Legman with a brilliant stop, flying up to his right. And it's tipped behind for a corner kick, which Sunday Balogun will deliver. Chance to get it in front post. Simpson heads over. And Burnley just starting to get a foothold in this game now. El Gaming, if you won the game today, what game do you think is most likely to win? I'd have to say the Villa one, to be fair. Because that's the only one when we're not playing a monstrous side. But we've been proven wrong, and we're looking alright here. As Balogun's into the box, oh, it's straight at the keeper. A confident Balogun scores that, drills it in the corner, but it's not to be. 10 to half time though, and it's constant highlights. We're not going to complain about this, we're on the front foot, but are we going to regret not making the most of it? Harrott switches again, Torres in acres. He's been a constant threat, and again straight at Legman. I think we're going to regret missing all these chances, I'll be brutally honest, as Balogun delivers. Corner kick into the box, poor one, straight at the goalkeeper. Not happy with that at all. Thank you to those creeping along still, good to see you all trickling in at 10 o'clock. Normally we get a bit of a rise at 11, so to see you all here this early is amazing. Here's Harrott over halfway, it's Burnley on the counter again. Balogun's been taken out there. Harrott's going alone though, he puts it wide. He's got to come back and book the man for the foul on Balogun. He hasn't done anything. They've got Kai Havertz in there as well, of Manchester United. At half-time it's 0-0, and we dominated this match. Hopefully the second half's the same, but that's a really good performance so far. But if we lose this game, then the morale will dip even more because they've had their chances. And you can see we're squeezing close to that relegation zone now. Couple more defeats and we might be in the mix. It's Alves with the delivery to the front post, headed away as far as Harrott. He clears long to the left for Balogun. He's got a one-on-one chance. Now, in his confident form, this is when Balogun's a star. He beats one, beats two, into the box. But the finish is dragged wide. That's the bit that's missing at the moment. He's still got his game. He's still got the quality. But he has not got that finish in him. Ferran Torres on the right has an awful rating now because he keeps missing chances. So I'm going to bring Lowry on for him shortly, as Ossie Robinson's robbed in the middle by Marcus Rashford, doing great things in real life, and he's surging down the left here. Got the number 6 shirt for some reason. Switch of play, Edmonds heads away, but only as far as Alves. And this is where, after an hour of brilliant chances, brilliant football, do we then give it away with one chance? Flicked on for Paredes, there we go. Good save, Summerskill. Keeps it 0-0. Good work from the keeper. Got a few more comments to get through. It's okay, Villa, not the biggest team in Birmingham apparently. Craig and Charlie, I'm not getting involved in that argument. That was a vintage Craig Savage foul. It was actually, Charlie, you're spot on. Pro Evolution Soccer 2, we used to play it on a Friday night and Craig just used to absolutely murder everyone there. 5-6 yards out, he would just wipe people out. Red card after red card. Paredes puts one wide of the post and we're going to go and make changes. 15 left. Let's get some subs on. Ferran Torres, replaced by Lowry. He's going to be an inside forward on attack. Going to be a bit more aggressive now. Ossie Robinson's not had the best game. We'll get Jack Vaughan on for him even. And then it's either Phil Richards or Fabio. I think Richards might be the man, but we're not going to do it just yet. Let's go and get back into it. Couple more comments there. What do you think is better, the Xbox One X or the PS5? I mean, I'll be honest, the last couple of years I've not really played a huge amount of console games. I know there's a bit of Cricket 19 on the channel and we've had a bit of snooker as well. But I've gone off FIFA the last couple of years. I've not really got into many console games. Probably the remakes of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro from my childhood are the last ones I've got involved with. So I would say I've always been Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Oh, Summerskill's let one through his hands. Havertz scores it. And 10 to go, exactly what we said has happened. We've missed loads of chances and now we're going to come back to regret it. But I've got to say, from the little bits I've seen early on, the PS5 looks a lot better. But it's early days, I wouldn't get too worried about it yet. I'm going to take off here, I'm not sure who. Fabio on for Bonner, he's struggling for fitness. I've put Phil Richards on by mistake there, that could have been a disaster. Fabio on, we'll go positive. Let's see if we can get an equaliser. But we've been a good side. We've just struggled in front of goal. Craig always won though. You did, to be fair. Crash Bandicoot 4 coming out in October. Yeah, I saw that yesterday. I'm quite looking forward to that, a new game. But it's always hard to say. They bring back things from the past because they seem like a good idea. But they're not always better. So we'll wait and see on that front. But yeah, generally looking forward to that. As Simpson heads in. Off the post. It's 1-1. Finally, we get the goal we deserve. Sunday Balogun delivers. Hopefully, the assist will give him a bit of confidence. And Simpson heads in. Carl, welcome along. Good to see you again. I know you were here last week. Just got Redgate Clayton promoted from the National League North to National League from Step 11. Blimey. That's a good achievement. I'm hoping the next couple of years, I've got saves planned with Hitchin, who are in Step 7, and Crawley Green, who are Step 9. Craig and Charlie in the comments both play up for their reserves at present. Or did in the last season, and I'd love to do that later on. As I've mentioned in previous streams, it will require this to become part of my job in the longer term, because you can't really get to the top from that level unless you have an episode out every day. And at the moment, unfortunately, with work commitments and the head coach being the biggest series on the channel, I can't do that. So longer term, as the channel grows, as I'm sure we'll gradually creep up in numbers of subscribers, etc., thanks to your support, we'll be able to think about a lower save down the pyramid. As Balogun picks it up on the left, it's 1-1 at full time. It's not a bad result. It's a very good performance. But obviously the football pyramid's going to change a lot in the next couple of years. There's going to be a lot of teams that don't survive out of this, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait and see where we are then. We'll go through the press conference. Always the second option. Harrott had a good game and 8 games without a win now. But a good performance at least and a draw, which is important. Craig, get in. He was happy when United scored, obviously, but we did get the point. We got a point. It's a decent result. So thank you everyone for your faith. Not quite the win you expected, but we got there. Thank you to everyone popping along this morning as well. Good to see so many of you here already. If you are just joining in, please put a thumbs up on it. Helps people find us, helps us get involved, and helps us grow and find more people to join along. It's fantastic stuff. Tuesday morning, I never expected this to go so well, so I really am grateful for it. And hopefully, we won't do too badly away at Liverpool either. That's going to be a tougher test, because they've been a brilliant side in this series. But you know, we can always cause a surprise on the counter. We just need Balogun to get a goal, and then he'll probably start firing them in. A bit like Benteke used to be at Villa. Never scored till November, and then got about 15 in the second half. We're a little bit slow processing today as well. Not quite sure why, but there we go. If there's any other questions from the weekend's football, obviously the Premier League was back for the first time since our last one, as was the Championship. I know we've briefly talked about Luton Preston as well. But there's plenty of talking points, should we say. Particularly VAR, goal line technology, the usual suspects. Obviously the League 2 playoffs went through as well, so Northampton v Exeter in the final. Northampton a fairly local one to me. I quite like the ground, to be honest. We went earlier in the season. Myself and Craig did a matchday vlog at Northampton Derby in the FA Cup. And it was probably, to be brutally honest, one of the worst games of football I've seen this season. Not that I wouldn't be happy to go live and see it now, but Wayne Rooney didn't quite have the effect he desired. And then Derby came and lost at Luton a few days later, which was great for us. But we're skipping through quite quickly now. Thank you to everyone joining along. Just having a look through the chat and the comments. I do appreciate it. Thank you all for getting involved. The score Luton Preston was 1-1. So Luton got a late equaliser. Pretty similar pattern to normal actually. Nathan Jones is back, our old manager who rejoined. So it's going to be an interesting one, that. Cole, just going back to your point, Cole. You said you're running out of steam now with average crowds of 195. Once you get to sort of League 1 maybe, that's normally where I start to see the crowds jump up. And obviously you can normally get a stadium then, but you don't want to leave it too early, because if you go too soon, you get a stadium upgrade, then you get to the Premier League and you've got to wait 20 years for another one. So I would always recommend holding off. But it's supposed to get harder as you get higher up, so don't worry about it too much. Keep the faith with it. Charlie, thoughts on Leeds and their promotion bid? Well, this is quite a controversial subject, because myself, Craig and Charlie for the podcast, we did our return in Championship predictions last weekend. Myself and Craig predicted Leeds to not win and had a discussion about whether they would fall away as they had in previous years. And Charlie said they would win and be fine. And we got pelters in the comments before the game, saying that the only one that's going to be right is the one who's predicted a Leeds win, one who went on an essay about Leeds being brilliant after a break. And then obviously Leeds produced what could be described as a lacklustre performance, and more importantly, collapsed after they conceded. So it proves we were right to discuss it, but I still hope they get over the line. I like Leeds. I predicted them to win the title. They're a Premier League club who deserve to be there. And to be honest, with the ticket prices they were charging before this lockdown, I'd rather they're not in the same league as Luton again, although that's unlikely to be the Championship, I accept. But I still hope they go up, and fingers crossed they will, but it wasn't a particularly inspiring performance, let's say. I would have a few worries if I was a Leeds fan. And they've got Fulham this week as well. So we'll do our predictions for that later, obviously. But Leeds-Fulham, if they lose that, I think the gap's down to 4 points with 7 or 8 games to go. That'll be a very, very tough, squeaky run-in for them. So we're nearly through to the second game now. I don't know why I'm rushing it so much, because it's only against big opposition. Hang on a minute. Now, we're playing in the same... sorry, I've got completely distracted. We're playing in the same universe as our head coach series. Obviously, we just split it into 2. We carried on with Gladbach, and then here we moved to... or we stayed at Burnley. And look who Liverpool have got a centre-half. Vladimir Jovanovic, the 18-year-old wonderkid from Bayern Munich. Now, he is a star for us. We're retraining him as a centre-half now at Gladbach. He was signed in January by our director of football and has been a brilliant, brilliant player. And he's now here at Liverpool in this universe. That's interesting to say the least. Harrott and Lowry in for Young Player of the Month as well. We'll probably see that a lot in the recent weeks. Or in the coming months, I should say, as Rod Coleman picks up a knock. But let me know how you think we'll get on against Liverpool. What did we think of the goal for Sheffield United? Well, there's not much that can be said about it, is there? I guess one of the things that did annoy me is I was listening to like the radio at work and things like that in the mornings, and they were all criticising the referee on field, which I don't think is fair. You've got that technology there, you expect it to work, you've done the checks pre-match, and it's not like it was 10 yards over the line, it was that easy to see with the naked eye. So for me, it's where VAR is a problem, because they have such set stringent rules of what it can and can't be used for, that they use it robotically, which I get it's supposed to be artificial intelligence, but you're a human using it. You've got to use common sense at some point. It can't just be, these are the things we're going to use it in that robotic type, you know. So that's where it frustrates me a bit. But we'll move on, and I'm sure it won't happen again after that. There'll be some big changes after it. L Gaming 2-0 Liverpool, Charlie 2-0 Liverpool. I don't know what you're apologising for. 2-0 would be a fabulous result. I'm expecting 4 or 5, to be brutally honest. So if we can lose 2-0, I'll probably take that now. Ashley Harrett's training really well. And what do you expect? He's in the first team for the first time. We have reached match day though, so we're flying through the games this morning. We've got a 2-week international break after this, so we'll have a very quick look at training as well. And Harrett's the man we're getting all the praise for. He's only 18 years of age. Look how quickly he's improving. He's going to be a superstar. Still got 5-star potential as well. I wonder why he's not a Wonderkid actually. Because his attributes would suggest it. Maybe he's slightly closer. Thank you to everyone still joining along. The number of views still creeping up. It's incredible at this time of the morning. I do appreciate it. Hopefully longer term we can do a few more live streams. I'd love to get more into it in the future. There's always been this big debate about YouTube, Twitch, or there's another new one now as well. But to me, I want to have everything under one roof. So we'll be staying on YouTube because I don't really know how to use the others. Craig Robinson passes a fitness test for the late kickoff. City have just beaten Forest 7-0. So I hope that's not a sign of things to come in our game. Is anyone else fit? Doesn't look like it. I mean, I think we've got our best squad out. It's just confidence. So I'm going to stick with the same 11 and we're going to get straight into it. We've still got Leon Lowry on the bench and the likes if needed. L Gaming 3-1 perhaps. Yeah, maybe. I don't know that we'll nick a goal though the way we're playing. Craig 3-0 Liverpool. Kamara hat-trick. Who's Kamara? What are you on about, Craig? Enlighten me, please. Alexander Arnold is at right back. At left back is Saka. From Arsenal, obviously. Alisson's still in goal. There's no sign of Jovanovic, who just won Young Premier League Player of the Month. But he's not in the squad. They've got Griffiths up front, who is an incredible striker. And that's going to make this very difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to say the pressure's off, as we did against United. And I tell you what, if we get a point out of this one, I will be absolutely thrilled. But I don't think it's going to happen somehow. Thank you to everyone who's joined along this morning. If you haven't yet, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make a difference and help people find us. If you've missed any of the start, there'll be a full replay afterwards. And don't forget, this series is now not instead of, it is as well as the head coach. So at 4:30 today, we'll be back with Borussia Mönchengladbach. And it's a really big one as Balogun's in. Is the goal drought over? He's hit it straight at the keeper. Oh, he can't waste chances like that. We're going to drop to balance actually because we're just starting to struggle on the back foot. But this afternoon from the head coach, we've got a massive episode. It's the start of a new season, so it's the transfer special. We had our cup final on Saturday. And we've got the Super Cup today. Bayern Munich, of course, the opposition again. They won the Bundesliga and it was us two in the German Cup final. But a brilliant side they are. And we've got a big summer transfer special as well. There's some massive signings. In fact, I've just recorded Thursday's episode before coming live this morning. And there's some great players in there as well. So Thursday's episode's not a bad one. A hectic deadline day, I think it's fair to say. But it's 0-0 at half-time here. It's been a very good performance so far. Of course, in that save the head coach, we've got Champions League football for the first time this season. That's going to be an exciting one. It's quite a big moment in the head coach when you get to play European football for the first time. Of course, we've skipped the others. I thought Nuno Santos had scored then. It's one of those crosses from the sort of edge of the box angle where it just beats all of the players and the keeper. But thankfully, this one drifted wide. 70 on the clock, so Liverpool corner. This is normally where we start to fall away. Is that Zach? Oh, I thought I'm getting my saves mixed up. I thought Zach Council for a minute. That's Dorking Wanderers, isn't it? It's a corner for Nuno Santos. Liverpool starting to pile on the pressure as Saka picks it up on the edge of the box. Out to Nuno Santos. Chance to deliver. Closed down, but only finds Saka again. And Liverpool completely on the front foot. I can assure you TT Kamara will not be scoring the hat-trick, Craig. Back to the edge again. Liverpool being forced back, but they've still got possession and they're still finding a route through. That's what concerns me. The two centre-halves on top of each other as Wardley heads away. Don't play with it there. Get rid of it. Flauhaut clears straight to Saka. And the highlight ends as Santos delivers again. Into the front post. Oh, it's so frustrating. We cannot buy a result. We've held off so well. Robinson's going to be replaced by Vaughan. What else do we do? It's the usual suspects, isn't it? I'm a little bit puzzled here. Bonner's on a booking. Fabio for him. And we'll do Lowry for Torres in 5. But I think, unfortunately, this is going to end in narrow defeat again. Craig, who's the worst? Mike Riley, Keith Hackett or John Moss? I don't like to criticise referees too much, as Liverpool have scored another set piece. We're just collapsing from them. We were brilliant from set pieces last season. And I don't understand how it's all gone so wrong without changing any of the settings or duties for the same players. But there we go. Inside forward for Lowry. We'll probably lose this 3 or 4 now. I don't like Mike Riley as a referee just because of some of the things he's implemented as the head of referees. And some of the times he's kept quiet and not supported his refs. But generally referees have a hard job. So John Moss is a decent referee. Keith Hackett, I'm not getting involved with because that's a personal thing for you. L Gaming, maybe you might nick a winner, then 1-0 to you after the first half. I appreciate your confidence, but as you've seen again, unfortunately it's misguided. We're not getting the result, and those who all went for 2-0 initially, I think have got it right. So Charlie and L Gaming, you've probably nailed your result here. 3.5 minutes to go, and it's still 2. There's still scope for it to be 3, so the others might be right yet. Cole Lawton, Mike Hiley was the worst ref I saw out of the 3. However, Rob Stiles, I'll tell you who the worst 2 were for me. One of them still a referee is Trevor Kettle, I think, is still going. But at Kenilworth Road, the worst for me was always Andy Durso. And again, he wasn't a terrible referee. I guess the reason there's some referees I struggle with a bit, as we have lost 2-0, is the ones that don't like to play advantage, that don't let the game flow. The ones who are blowing their whistle constantly are ones that I struggle with. So they all make mistakes. There's all moments. So like Michael Oliver was obviously at the centre of that Sheffield United one. But for me, he's a referee who generally lets the game flow. Martin Atkinson, similar. They always play good advantages. So I'm not going to get too caught up on that. And you've got to bear in mind at the moment as well, the players have had 3 months off and everyone's talking about the tempo being worse, the standard not being as good. The same goes to referees. The only difference is some of the assistants and that will have day jobs. So, you know, they're referees in the National League or Football League. They might be furloughed. You don't know that. So we've got to give them a little bit of leeway, I think, at this point. L Gaming 2-0 might be looking right. It is indeed. Well done to you and Charlie for that one. Thank you to everyone joining along still. Unfortunately, it doesn't get any easier because after the international break, we're playing Arsenal. So let's hope we can skip through this quickly. We'll have a quick progress update on England as well while we're there. Ashley Harris got a wage hike because he's playing regularly. And Arsenal have got their last game as they go into the break. What was their scoreline actually? They beat Stoke 2-0. Erling Haaland scored both. Obviously flying with Dortmund in real life. Had a brilliant start to his career. And we've had an awful start to this episode. A good performance against United. Unfortunately only got a point. And now we've lost at Liverpool. We do the same against Arsenal. We could feasibly be in the relegation zone. L Gaming, what's the funniest referee decision you remember? Oh, I've got an answer to your own goal one from last week as well, actually. I'll get that in a minute. Funniest referee decision I remember? I don't know, actually. That's another great question. Oh, you've really stumped me with that. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I guess the first one that jumps to my head that I remember was Beach Ballgate, the Sunderland Liverpool. That's one that immediately springs to mind and obviously is one of the most high profile one. But I'm trying to think of a game I've seen live in the flesh. I guess the funniest one, I'll tell you one involving me in Sunday League. And I don't know if Craig or Charlie were playing in those games. They might be able to tell you. We used to have a referee in Sunday League who wasn't particularly up with the speed of the game and the latest rules. and he was getting absolute pelters from most of our team and the opposition. And they were just moaning at him, every decision, surrounding him, whatever. So I just went up to the lads. I just had a little shout across the pitch. I think I was playing at centre half. I was leading the defensive line. So I just said to the lads, look, we know he's not great. It's Sunday League. Don't get on his back. Just leave it. Focus on your game. And he sent me off for saying he's not great or he's crap or whatever I said. I didn't swear or anything like that. But he sent me off. So rather than thanking me for trying to protect him and telling people to leave him alone, he sent me off because I said he wasn't the best referee in the world. So that's probably the funniest decision I've been involved in. Thankfully he didn't put it through, otherwise it would have been a 40 odd quid fine. But yeah, that was a bizarre one. In answer to the own goal question from last week, the best own goal I've ever seen, and I've thought about this a lot, is not the best own goal in terms of quality, because in terms of the best one I've ever seen would probably be on TV, which was like Lee Dixon lobbing David Seaman. But the best goal I've seen in the flesh, own goal, and it's not because it was a great own goal, it's because of the importance of it, was Luton Liverpool FA Cup 2008 at Kenilworth Road, and John Arnorisa scored an own goal with about 10 minutes to go. It was just one of those into the box, sliding in, and unfortunately went in his own net. But it got us a replay at Anfield, which gave me the chance to go. I mean, I missed a school exam for it and got away with resitting it because I said I had a stomach bug, and then we got spotted on the TV, which didn't go well. But it was a brilliant moment, and it saved the club. We were in administration. Between the first game and the replay 10 days later, we sold 2 of our best players for a combined £1 million. So our skipper at centre-half and Dave Edwards, who went on to play for Wolves and Wales in the Premier League. So that was probably the most important own goal I've ever seen, and the biggest one. Charlie, who do you think will go up between Exeter and Northampton in the League 2 playoff final? So I think Exeter will win because they've got the firepower with Ryan Bowman. Keith Curl probably tactically has a few deficits, but he is a brilliant motivator of players. And he always gets people up for it. So I'd like Northampton to go up because it's local, and I like to have lots of choice to go to local football. You know, I've been to Northampton a couple of times this year. We mentioned the vlog against Derby. I also went to watch Northampton Crew early in the season. Northampton beat them 4-1, and Crew have obviously been promoted since in second place. The other thing I would say on that, to be honest, is Northampton have got Alan McCormack in centre midfield, who is possibly one of my favourite Luton players of the last 2 or 3 years. So I really want him to do well. And we obviously interviewed Chris Lyons for the podcast. He was the first pro from the men's game that ever came on and spoke to us, I think, bar Bobby Madley, the referee. But I think Chris Lyons was the first professional footballer to come on from the men's game. So a lot of respect for Northampton. We'd like to see them do well, and I'd like to see them in League One next year. L Gaming, mine was when I played. Mine was when I played. He gave everything to the other team. It was annoying, but not sure anything in the crowd or watching. I'm not sure. No, I see. That's the hardest thing. Everyone criticises referees for their big mistakes or whatever, but you forget them by next week. So that tells you that in the grand scheme of things, they're not huge. But the only one that sticks to my mind is Beach Ball Gate, and then that one personally, which was bizarre. Charlie remembers the sending off. Didn't you score a volley from the edge of the box in the same game? I don't know about that game. Was it that game? Yeah, I think it might have been, actually. I tell you what, actually, Charlie, there was a great own goal in that game as well. I think it was his name Connor who played for us, and didn't he score a diving header from the edge of his own box into his own net? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure he scored a brilliant own goal in that game. I don't know if I'm making that up. I'm sure I remember it. And was it that same match? Because I don't know that I'd remember it if I wasn't on the sideline watching it. Because I'm sure he scored a good goal himself. And then you're right, I scored the other one. And then I'm sure he scored a cracking own goal. Please do tell me if you remember that, if I'm going insane. Funniest ref... Craig's brought up the funniest ref decision. That's a good one as well. We played a game in a Luton Sunday League, and it was, let's say the standard wasn't professional. And we had a player come on, and he scored a goal. And the team we were playing against were Luton Rhinos. Our team all celebrated and chased him and jumped on him. Then all of the opposition did, and the referee did as well. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. And that's the spirit of football. That season was everything that people should be shown to love about football. There was no trying to kick the lumps out of each other. There were no teams just playing to have a fight, to have a bust up. It was football, and it was brilliant. There was only probably one team in that league where that wasn't the case. it was a brilliant year. Probably my best year playing football as an adult. Gaming, that happened to me. I didn't go on a school holiday because I said I was sick. Then they see me on TV for Wrexham v Eastleigh. And to be fair, you've done it for a proper game. I did it to go to Anfield, so I don't deserve as much credit as you. We've got a returning hero to Burnley. Neil Dusnip has brought back Johan Berg Munson. Obviously a player for many years in real life. Joined in 2016, is still there at the moment. In this career stay till 2024. I mean, he's a horrid, in terms of stats, he's a horrid assistant manager. But he works well with youngsters, and he's going to work in the under-18s. So good to give him an opportunity. We've got a new goalkeeping coach as well. He's a good one, so no problem with that. Its international break has been fruitful off the pitch. And actually, we haven't even got a game at the end of it. We've got 3 weeks off. So I'm going to organise a friendly. See if we can get some fitness back into the lads. See if also we can perhaps get a goal for Sunday Balogun. Where are we? Let's go for New Brighton in Wales. I'll just pick a random one each time out of the ones who want the least money. Staines playing against Cambridge. Big FA Cup tie there. They are our feeder club with Dorking in the other series. Thank you for everyone getting involved in the chat. Great to see it so active. Of course, football's back. There's going to be more talking points. The Gamer, hello, welcome along. Wolves fan, I'm sure you enjoyed that game against West Ham. Much more than Charlie did as a Hammers fan. Thank you for joining along as always. Play Wrexham in a friendly. I don't want a game I might lose, to be brutally honest. We have to stick with the lowest possible standard. Charlie, I think he did score that own goal. You're right. You're sure you gave away a penalty because you feigned being pushed in the back and grabbed the ball? You did. I mean, that game, actually, the 4 goals. What a set of circumstances that is. I don't know if that was the same game or was yours the week after or before. I think it might have been that game. Charlie's got an awful habit of being pushed in the back and then falling over theatrically like the Premier League and then grabbing the ball. Normally it works, but it didn't that time. I think the ref was already annoyed after sending me off. So we're making it out as an own goal with a diving header from the edge of the box. You giving away a penalty for dramatisation. Me scoring a volley from the edge of the box, which those who've seen me play will know is extremely rare. And then Connor scoring a very good goal as well, I think. Adama Traore, best player this season. I mean, he's just unstoppable when he's at his best, isn't he? And he's finally found consistency, which is going to be a huge asset for Wolves. Ruben Neves, yeah, some player, Craig. Some player indeed. Scores crackers as well. And to be honest, the unsung man is Moutinho for me. He makes such a difference in that side. El Gaiman, what you said gave me an idea for a question. What's the funniest penalty decision you've seen? Oh, I tell you what, there's some cracking questions in here today. Penalty decision. I mean, that Charlie one's not far off. Oh, there's been some interesting ones over the years. I always find the controversial ones the handballs. You know, where are the arms raised or not. But the funniest decision, I'm sure I've seen a couple of absolute crackers over the years. But the one that springs to mind immediately is that one Charlie's talking about. To give away a penalty for your own action is, while you've got the ball, is quite bizarre. I hope Adama goes to Liverpool. Won't happen, I'm afraid. There's no chance Wolves will sell him there. I don't think Klopp will take him, to be honest. Because he prefers the cutting in forwards. He always has. I guess the only one he had different was Blaszczykowski at Dortmund. But even then, didn't really play the same sort of tactic. So I don't know that it would suit him down to the ground. Right, we have got 1 week to go. We've got a friendly today, haven't we? So let's play that. We don't need the lads in the under-20s. Bonner, Richards and Lowry all playing for England under-20s or 19s. That's a good sign for us. Thank you to everyone watching along. Please do put a thumbs up on it. It's great to see so many of you here on a Tuesday morning. We are getting there towards the next game, I assure you. It won't be too long. Thank you to everyone getting involved in the chat. I've just had a pop-up to say Scott McTominay signed a 5-year deal. I've no idea why I'm getting that notification. And it's getting in the way of the chat as well. But congratulations to him. He's done well for himself at United. Nuno's the only manager who's got the best out of Traore. Yeah, that's true. That's true, to be fair. I guess you have to bear in mind Traore was 19 or 20 at other clubs. Obviously, he was at Villa and he was at Middlesbrough as well. But coming from Barcelona, you're going to have a good trade. It's just when it clicks mentally more than anything. It's probably the thing I've learnt most talking to pros on the podcast channel is how much the mental side of the game has an impact. We all knew how important mentality is, but to see how much of an impact it has in your development, when you're injured and all of those sorts of things. And I really appreciate how honest some of the pros have been about it. Like with Pulis, and they couldn't get the best out of him. Nuno has. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Nuno's got the best out of a very good side there. Even the likes of Matt Doherty, Connor Cody, John Ruddy when they were in the Championship. He got brilliant seasons out of lots of them. Roman Saiss playing in different positions. He's done really well with him. And obviously he's electric quick. El Gaming, you're spot on there. So, I mean, Wolves have got a good side. If they can keep that team together and keep adding 1 or 2 a year, they'll be in the top 4 before too long. They'll be competing at that level. Particularly with Arsenal struggling. Spurs under Mourinho. It's interesting. I don't know which way that's going to go. United with Solskjaer, I think, will rise back up. They're starting to build that team now, and he's done a better job than people give him credit for. Frank Lampard's Chelsea, the same again, but a bit young and inconsistent. I feel like he's getting rid of a few too many of the experienced ones too quickly. Because don't forget, Willian, I know they're trying to get him tied down, but then Pedro and Giroud will both be leaving this summer. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out. We're nearly there at the Arsenal game now. A much more extended one. What's Luton's most expensive signing? Wrexham's Joey Jones from Liverpool. Yeah, he was a good player. Can't remember how much. They sold him to Liverpool and bought him back. Simon Sluga is ours. Craig spot on. We paid just over £1 million this summer. And unfortunately, till about January, that looked like a terrible signing because he made consistent errors. But thankfully, the last couple of months, he's been all right. He is Croatian international. He's their number 2 keeper. So he's in behind their first choice. I think he's got 2-3 caps now. Played in a couple of friendlies, half an hour. Or half a game, sorry. The game where I felt sorry for Ruddy coming in at short notice. And for a negative reason. But he's been good to us. Yeah, he's a really solid goalkeeper, actually. Did well at Norwich back in the day as well. And he's just a good pro. That's what he strikes me as. I've seen him a few times on the TV. I know he goes on BT quite a lot. Because obviously Jake Humphrey presents the Premier League coverage. And he's a Norwich fan. And they seem to know each other quite well. But he always just strikes me as a decent bloke. He's someone I quite like to interview, actually. But yeah, he's been a really good pro. And he's great to have as a backup keeper. Because he's one of those who won't let you down. And obviously you've got Rui Patricio, who's a fabulous keeper. But to have another one there, it'll be very good for you. And I'd encourage you to keep him there. Because in Europe in particular, the Europa League group stages, he played in some of the games, proved his worth. El Gaming, is he good for Luton? Have you watched Luton for? Have watched Luton for? Yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. He's decent with his feet. He's a good shot stopper. But again, we've said it 3 or 4 times already in this episode. It's between the ears what goes on. Mentally, just switches off occasionally. Makes a lot of silly errors. I think he's made 11 or 10 errors leading directly to goals this year. So didn't start too well. Obviously he was learning a language, adapting to moving abroad for the first time. So you've got to bear that in mind. But he is a good goalkeeper. And I'm sure he will come good. But again, I felt sorry. A bit like the gamer for Ruddy. I felt sorry for James Shea. We got promoted last year. He got the Golden Glove with 25 clean sheets. Started the season as second choice behind Marek Stek. Got in the first team. Became the start. And won the Golden Glove. In League 2, Marek Stek started as first choice. James Shea broke in. James Shea was the star as we got promoted. And I just feel like he's never let the club down, but he's never trusted as the first choice. We're doing alright here. Other results are generally going our way, so we're staying clear of relegation. Still 4 points clear. Derby and Forest there. We've spoken about Derby already today. Another one of the predictions I'll admit I got wrong. I went for Millwall to beat them. Said they don't score many goals from what I'd seen, but up stepped Louis Sibley. Thank you to those joining along. I can see the number of views creeping up. I promise you we are playing a bit of Football Manager, but we are mainly just talking football at the moment. Any questions, any stories, come and get involved. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you're new along. It does make such a difference and it's great to have you here. How would you rate Luton's season so far in the transfer business? So, season so far, results-wise, probably pretty much as expected. We expected to come back down. We've got one of the smallest budgets in the league. We've got by far the smallest stadium while we wait for the new one to go through. Our season so far is great because off the pitch, we got the stadium planning permission. And that is the biggest thing the club's been waiting for. They've been talking about a new stadium for 50, 60 years. And it's finally happened. So that's the big news. Off the pitch, it's fantastic. We're going to get into the Arsenal game. Everyone's fit, so we'll stick with the same squad, I think. In terms of on the pitch, away from home, we went a long time without winning. Graham Jones was in charge the first half of the year. Possibly not the right appointment. Didn't have that natural passion which the fans sort of require at Luton. And set up a bit more defensively, which is something that a lot of the fans struggle with after playing free-flowing football the last 2 years. But also bearing in mind, we lost our best two fullbacks. Jack Stacey went to Bournemouth, James Justin went to Leicester. Both of those are starting in the Premier League the last week. So that's the standard of player we're missing out on. And with the greatest respect, if your transfer budget's 1 million, you can't replace them when you've sold them for a combined 10 to 12 to pay for the stadium. It's on the front foot, Arsenal early on into the box. We're not going to worry about the results here too much. Thank you for all your comments in the chat. I will catch up with them in a minute. In terms of transfer business for Luton, as summer skill tips wide, the transfer business was difficult. So it got heavily criticised, and rightly so in terms of quality. But Graham Jones and the board, their hands were tied. Obviously spending all of the budget on Sluga in hindsight is an error. But he's an international goalkeeper for 1 million for a team that reached the World Cup final 2 years ago. You have to say that's good business on paper. And he will come good. But the others were all free deals and sort of experienced Championship pros. And when you're a club like Luton, you can't compete on wage fronts or transfer fronts. So the only ones you're signing are people who are either injury prone or ones that others don't want to take a chance on. As Arsenal take the lead already, another cross that's led to a goal. So the likes of McManaman, Tunnicliffe, Jacob Butterfield, Izzy Brown on loan from Chelsea even, are all players that have had huge injury problems. Brendan Galloway, a brilliant youngster at Everton 4 or 5 years ago, has barely played a game since, continues to get injuries. And that's the business Luton have to do. So yes, most of them haven't worked out, but we kind of understand why they were the deals they were. What I will say is the January business was great. Cameron Carter-Vickers on loan, he's a great centre-half. Has made man of the match performances almost every week. Got a couple of others back as well. Ewan O'Kane in the dressing room from Leeds. Came on loan, broke his leg very early last season, but was well respected in the dressing room. So yeah, it's interesting, rather than good or bad. But I understand the reasons that there couldn't be big summer marquee signings, so no problem with that. Arsenal are absolutely dominant here, and Haaland's just put them 2-0 up. This could be an absolute disaster if we're not careful. Charlie, seeing as you watched the Preston on Saturday, do you think they will have enough to stay in the top 6? Not quite. Not quite, I don't think. The 2 games I've watched, Luton have rattled them a bit, and they should have drawn away from home. Cornick late on went through and missed a sitter 1-on-1. But they're a good side, and Alex Neil, with the budget again, has done a brilliant job there. Like the goal scorer, the signing of Scott Sinclair. What a clever bit of business that is. A point to prove, he's been brilliant. Callum Robinson obviously went off to Sheffield United in the summer, and it's a brilliant replacement. Thank you to those popping along. Usual time around 11. Great to see more of you popping in. Please do put a thumbs up on it if you haven't already. It does make a difference. Tom, are Arsenal better in the virtual world? Yes, they're winning a game. And with an hour gone, they're dominant here. They're in the top 4. I'll go and very quickly show you actually while you're here, as you've asked. In terms of competitions, they won the runners-up in the Champions League 3 years ago. Finished 3rd in the Premier League's their highest finish. Club World Championship runner-up 2025. Won the Europa League in 21 and 24. Won the Super Cup both of those years as well. Won the FA Cup in 2021, Arsenal's favourite competition. And won a Carabao Cup and a Champions League as well. And a Community Shield, Champions League. Don't get too optimistic. Even won the Leasing.com trophy 2026. The youngsters doing well. So they've obviously got another good generation of them coming through now. It's great to have so many of you in the chat. I'm struggling to keep up this morning. Let's get the subs on. Lowry on the right wing. We like to get the youngsters football. It's the whole point of the Youth Academy Challenge. Vaughan in for Ossie Robinson. And do you know what? We'll do Fabio at right back again. Seems to be our regular 3 now. And let's just see if we can keep it respectable. I'm struggling to keep up with the comments, so thank you so much for getting involved. Jonah, welcome along. Good to see a regular in. L Gaming. Wrexham, it was against Bromley. Ref was shocking. They celebrated with him. and Wrexham were 2-0 up, and he gave a pen from 20 yards from the goal. We all have a game like that. How did Nathan Jones do for you on Saturday? Any chest thumping? No. But what he did do in his press conference after the match, that point was for the fans. I've got to be honest. I think he's got to wait a few weeks before he brings that out. But yeah, he did. To be fair, we mentioned it before in one of these streams. As a candidate for the job, he is the best candidate. If he produces the miracle and keeps Luton up, he'll be a hero before the fans are back in the stadium. If we go down as expected and he has a good summer in the transfer window and we start playing good football and doing well in League One, he'll be a hero again. But it is a risk. But he wasn't going to get a bigger job after what had happened. As Lowry scores, we've got one back with 5 to go and we're going to go attacking. Leon Lowry is scoring goals galore at the moment. We might have to get him in for Balogun because Balogun doesn't look like getting them. And Lowry's on the front foot again. But yeah, to be honest, I can get why he got the job. It's the best candidate. It's the best move for the club and the man. And he will have had to take a pay cut because he was never getting a big money job. He was probably going to have to go down to mid-table League One or to the bottom of League Two. Arsenal have wrapped it up. I mean, we're so fragile at the back at the moment. I can't wait to play some average teams. L Gaming, yes. Leicester signed Justin from Luton. 8 million quid, near enough. So I think 6 up front, rising to 8. England under 21 international. Homegrown player at Luton. He's a brilliant player. And he started at the weekend for Leicester. He made one brilliant defensive tackle, actually, if I remember. Jack Stacey is the same again. Signed for Bournemouth from Luton. 4 million quid. Had 1 year left on his deal. It's a great contract. Craig, what's the worst ground you've been to? Tough question. That is a really hard one, actually. I'm trying to think, because obviously we've been doing the stadium review series on Sundays. I'm trying to think what's my worst. I think so far Cambridge is the worst. And obviously I've explained the reasons there. I've agreed with John Underwood, the lads are disappointed with it. But the Villa game's coming up and they're up in 7th as well, so that's going to be tough. I think so far I probably have to go for Cambridge in the Football League. I know we've only been there for conference games apart from one. Stevenage's ground isn't great, but it's a local one. It's one of the first I went to, so it's got a special place for me because of that. Yeah, I think they're the main two. In non-league, it's like an Eastbourne or a Salisbury? Forest Green. But I can't remember which one it was. I'm sure it's Eastbourne, where it was a recreation centre. And I just thought, geez, how have Luton fallen this low? But I might have the wrong ground. So apologies to Eastbourne fans if that's the case. L Gaming, mine was Gateshead because there weren't any away. There were not away fans than home. There were more away fans. We've had the same as well. Crawley, not a great ground. We mentioned that one as well. There were more away fans for Luton than Crawley, and that was the year Crawley were competing for the title in the conference under Steve Evans, who's had a few mentions in our interviews. Tom, I'd settle for that. Yeah, to be honest, I think most Arsenal fans would. Jonah, what do you think about Porky FM? Welcome along. New face. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining along this morning. I mean, we are playing FM, but we're mainly talking football. Jonah, we've talked a little bit about this already. Neil Warnock, the perfect man to get Middlesbrough out of trouble. A good character to have in the game. I'm disappointed because we won't get an interview with him for the podcast now. So we'll try and get Jonathan Woodgate on. I'd like to talk to him. As a Luton fan, it's a disaster because Middlesbrough are one of the few sides we could catch, and now that won't be possible. For Neil Warnock, it's a good move because I'm sure if he keeps them up, he will have a tasty little bonus in there. And I'm sure next season he'll have them fighting in the top half. So it's a win-win for everyone, I think, apart from Luton Town and Barnsley and Charlton and the clubs around us. We'll get Dwight McNeil, I think, in the under-20s. We haven't got a midweek game, have we? Although we have got the FA Youth Cup coming up. So I don't know who to get in. Apologies, I'm on the fizzy drink, so I'm constantly catching my breath. Let's have a look. Tom Ritchie. I don't know what to do with these kids. Trevor O'Callaghan will go in. Winsley can go in. And then we'll get in McNeil for fitness. Whitehouse as well, he's a youngster. And Grondham, the young goalkeeper. Let's go and have through the comments. Thank you everyone for joining along. Please do put a thumbs up on it. Woodgate was poor. He made some mistakes. But from what I heard behind the scenes, he was a decent manager. There's a lot of people that respect him in the game. I've got there's one of the people I work with. Their son is the head of the academy or something similar at Leeds, and he worked for Middlesbrough before, Scunthorpe, England ladies, and he said Woodgate is a really respectable bloke, knows his football inside out. Carl, no meat and potato pies at Forest Green. Tom, go on the vegan club. To be honest, the main thing for me is a Balti pie, and I know I'm going to get some pelters for that because that is not traditional football talk. But, oh, hang on. Are we linked with a job there? We're linked with a Bournemouth job. They're bottom of the Premier League, but they're a good club here. They've had some good seasons. Don't forget they signed Shackleton from us in the head coach for this Burnley side for about 25 million. But we're not going to go, obviously. Do I prefer Pep or Klopp? Klopp's my type of character. I'd prefer to play under him. I'm more that sort of style, but they're both incredible. I've got so much respect for him. Porky, I came to see what it's like. I can't make up my mind whether to stream on YouTube or Twitch. I don't know if you're here in time for it. We talked about that a little while ago. I'll be brutally honest. I have no idea what the differences are. I know the main difference for most people is that on Twitch you get slightly more percentage of your revenue. So if someone does a super chat or as a premium member or whatever for your live streams, you get slightly more of the revenue. But for me at this stage, that's not my top priority. I like to have everything under one roof. I'm making videos on YouTube anyway. Most of my subscribers are here. They get alerts when I'm going live. So that's why I sort of go for that. And I say I've probably then got a bigger following of people watching. I mean, considering this is my 6th ever live stream, I've nearly always got double figures of people in the streams watching, which is incredible. You can see how active the chat is. And to be honest, looking over on Twitch at some of the smaller creators, that isn't necessarily the case. And I'd argue I'm doing this at a pretty non-peak time as well, 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. So for me, YouTube wins because it brings more of my audience in and lets me interact with the people who watch my videos every day. Whereas on Twitch, I'm sort of, I guess, creating a new audience to an extent. But there are benefits to it. And again, financial motivations are a good thing longer term. And some of the big ones are there. So you can get some people raiding from there. So the likes of Lelujo and Dr. Benji, Second Yellow Cards. I think all of the big ones are over on Twitch. So I guess for that sense, you're likely to get raids from bigger people. And you get those one stream where it just goes absolutely nuts. But then it's your job to keep hold of them. So there's the pressure. There's two sides to it. But for me, I stick to YouTube because my audience is already here. I'm not worried at this stage about the financial side, so that's all. I just started making videos. I'm still learning, doing it as a hobby, not to make money. Exactly. I've already said I'd love to make it part of my income longer term. After doing it a couple of years now, I've just started to get monetized and get ad revenue and things like that. But it's not a main priority yet. I've still got a great day job and I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And to be honest, if you go back and see my first video from 2 years ago with FM18, it'll probably make you feel a lot better about yourself, I can assure you. How many games do Luton need to win to stay up? We're 6 points behind safety, and nearly all the teams around us won at the weekend, so it's not getting any easier. Thankfully, Hull are in dire form. Barnsley got a win, which is a worry, so did Charlton, but they were playing Hull. So it's basically 3 from 6 at the bottom. Charlie, can't beat a chicken Balti pie. Although you'd need to remortgage your house for refreshments at Vicarage Road. So yeah, I mean, we're going to come to that in the Stadium Review series later on. I have never been to a ground that has charged so much for food or drink, even Wembley. I think at Wembley you get a pie and a drink for $6.30. And at Watford, the drink was $2.50, which is fine. That's about standard. And the pie was £5 on its own. So yeah, I'm not happy about that. I'm not one who buys the alcoholic drink, so I can't really comment on those. Who else have we got in here? Craig, will there be a PES 2 live stream? Thank you for all getting involved. Please do put a thumbs up on it. It's great to have so many of you along here. Will there be a PES 2 live stream? Unfortunately, for technical reasons, probably not. So again, this boils back to the balance between this as a hobby and business. So at the moment, the money I've been generating from ad revenue the first 6 months, I've been spending on reinvesting in the channel. So I've got the webcam, obviously, which wasn't here until a few months ago. I've got the mic, which is upgraded rather than just having a headset or the rubbish one we were using for the console, which if you listen to the cricket videos, you can hear the background noise. So it's not a top-end mic, it's just a basic one, but it is an upgrade nonetheless. I've got myself a lamp to go over on the side here, so I'm not in complete darkness. But the next one for me will be a capture card for the console. And that then means that we can hopefully play some of the older games, because the capture card at the moment can only do the HDMI, whereas the older ones can do all sorts of consoles. And at that point, PS2 games are back on the cards, as are PS1 games. Do I prefer YouTube or Twitch? YouTube, to be honest. I get all of my big YouTubers I used to follow have moved over to Twitch for the live streams. I don't really see them that much. YouTube's easier to watch in terms of being at home. App on the Xbox, it's easier to watch. And it's nicer to have on in the background. For me, I prefer YouTube because everything's there. But there's nothing against the people who go to Twitch. I completely get the reasons. And for the bigger ones who are now relying on it for a living, it's so much easier to make revenue out of Twitch. The function for getting income from the chat is so much easier. So I completely understand it. But for me, I'm not even at that stage yet where I'm worrying about super chats and memberships and all of that. I probably will have to look at it eventually for FM21 perhaps. But again, it's not something I'm eager to do. Particularly not in the summer. It's a horrible time for people. The last thing I want is to say, can you help support my channel at the moment? Watching the adverts is enough for me at present. So thank you to everyone who does that. And for now, that's how it will be staying. I know, again, those relying on income have to go for Patreon and all those sorts of things. But I don't see myself as making regular and good enough content yet. I only really found my style 2 or 3 months ago. So I can't start charging for it. Jonah, I was appalled at what I saw in the sky at the Burnley game yesterday. Yeah, I don't think you're the only one. I think the majority are in agreement with that. And to be fair, the one thing I will say is Burnley had a statement out within an hour, and Ben Mee's comments after the game were brilliant. Obviously, he came through the City Academy. That game was probably special to him, and his comments were really strong, I thought. The words he used were perfect. He'd obviously thought about it. And on the spot like that, that was really good to see. But the thing is, unfortunately, there's a small minority who want to cause divides, and before that, most people were living in harmony. If you go to working class communities, there's people of all multicultural backgrounds living brilliantly. I'll give my work as an example. We've got 2 Muslim doctors, 1 Hindu doctor, 1 German Christian doctor, 1 British-born Muslim doctor, 1 British-born Indian heritage doctor. We've got a West Indian phlebotomist, HCA. We've got British nurses. We've got a Scottish nurse. There's just everyone's there. We've got a diverse reception team, and it's just a brilliant place to be. And you see those people working 12, 14 hours a day to ensure people are looked after in this difficult time. And then you see a few idiots trying to cause division with banners like that and some of the counter protests. And I just say focus on the positives, because if we don't focus and talk about those few idiots, they'll go away quick enough because they haven't got anything to thrive on. All they're looking for is that little bit of publicity. So as hard as it is and as horrible as it may be, and although I'm not the best person to talk about it, just try and focus on all the people doing positive in the world, because if we talk about them, people will soon change their tune, because there are a lot of great things that don't even get mentioned. As we go into Villa away, we've got a tough game here. This is going to be a real difficult one, because we said this is the one today we might win, and I don't know if we will. But Joni, you're spot on. It is childish. They need to grow up. But I'd rather spend my time focusing on the 90% of people who are doing wonderful things at this time. I mean, the NHS is so full of migrant workers who are doing brilliant things. And that can be from Asian backgrounds, from West Indian, African backgrounds, from other European backgrounds. And, you know, I'll quite happily say if you don't agree with me on that front and you don't understand the value of people who have come to this country and given up their lives to support us, then you can not really stay on my stream, because it's not going to be the best place for you, I'm afraid. Because the way I work and the industry I work in, that has to be the way forward. That's all I've known. Let's go back to slightly more lighter topics, shall we? I've had my say on that. That'll be my one speech for the day. Porky, I watch both as there doesn't seem to be many streamers on YouTube. Yeah, as I've said, the biggest frustration is that a lot of them have had to go over for Twitch. And I get that YouTube, revenue-wise, it wasn't as easy. I know they're trying to catch up now with the member scheme and the premium free memberships. But we'll wait and see what happens on that front. For me, It's just it's easier to do it on YouTube. I'm not the most technically gifted. I've got a free editing app, a free streaming app in OBS Studio. And for me, this is the easiest way to do it. I don't have to learn something else, which in turn with a full-time job, particularly at the moment, is very hard for me because I'm working full-time in the NHS in a crisis. So the last thing I want to do is try and learn how to use Twitch. L Gaming, I went to Harrogate, bought chips and they were like dark orange. I can't remember where it was. Oh, I'm trying to remember the ground. I don't know if I was with Charlie. I went to a ground that did with cheesy chips, and we saw someone come out, and the chips had just a slice of cheese. Was it at the Olympic Stadium? Is that why I'm thinking of it? Let me know, Charlie, because I know you've been there in the early years. You were a season ticket holder. Their cheesy chips had a slice of the like American fake burger cheese on it, and they were charging like £4 or £5. As Sunday Balogun scores. Sunday Balogun has ended the goal drought, and this stream is about to get a whole lot better. 2 games to go, and there he goes. L Gaming, this is my favourite channel because both my favourite games are on it. I presume you're referring to Cricket 19 as well. I'd love to help the channel anyway, but I haven't done any super chats or anything because I'm not old enough. No, of course, don't worry about it. I mean, I'm not at that stage where I want to ask for it, to be honest. Until 2 or 3 months ago, I don't feel like I was making good enough content to deserve it. And as it comes now, I've got to build an audience. So I'm not saying that it won't come one day. I can't promise that forever I'm going to be able to put 30 hours a week into this channel and the podcast for nothing. But I want to do it for as long as possible because for me it's not about the money at the minute. I earn a solid living. I have a solid job, which most people don't at the moment. And yes, that means that at times I'm on the front line in harm's way in the NHS. Certainly not anywhere near those working in a hospital, in a care unit. But still, you are exposed to it. But for me, it's not a priority at the minute. So no need to worry about that for now. For people who come along and watch, who join along the live streams, for people who watch the adverts, it makes such a difference. I mean, I've seen the advert revenue creeping up again now. And for those who just watch, I don't expect you to watch them if they're 20, 30 minutes before a video. I'd never ask you to. And when I'm watching, I'll skip videos like that. If you've got a 10, 20, 30 second advert and you're happy to watch it, all those little bits add up. I think it works out the equivalent of about a penny for 5 video watches or 5 advert watches. So for those who watch little adverts, it makes a big difference. And that's all I'll ask for now, to be honest. And just joining along, coming along, putting thumbs up on, watching the episodes, interacting in the live streams. This has put a smile on my face. I know for a few people who are feeling a bit down, just to come and have a chat and have an hour where you're hanging out, it makes a difference. So I've no problem. Craig, Charlie, L Gaming, well said. Tom, you've never spoke so eloquently. Where did that come from? I'm asked an honest question. I'll give an honest answer. Probably because off here, when I'm not on a family-friendly channel that I've created, I'm normally just swearing most of the time. I'm well known for being a bit of a potty mouth, but that's my opinion of it. It's really frustrated me the last few months. All of the counter protests and things like that. When I'm standing in an NHS GP surgery with people of all backgrounds and all different races, religions, beliefs, cultures, whatever you want it to be. And they're all working as a team and working their backsides off to try and save people's lives, you know, with no funding, no budget, inadequate PPE for a lot of the first month. It really frustrates me when people are out protesting against them and then they walk in the next day expecting care from them for free. It just frustrates me. That's all I'm going to say on that because I will get annoyed if I keep talking about it. Charlie, it was in the Forest ground. Yes, it was Nottingham Forest. Oh, we've scored a second. Rob Simpson with a header. We've got back to scoring from set pieces. Yeah, just the slice of American cheese on top of the chips. Nottingham Forest, that cracked me up. Jonah, my local team, Newmarket Town. I don't know if you've been there. I haven't. We are starting to do non-league grounds, so we'll do a few of them in the future. Hopefully me and Charlie or Craig will rop up one day. I don't know if you've been there, but their chips cost £6. You've got to be joking. £6 for a portion of chips. I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm thinking of any restaurant. I've been to once I've been in a Michelin star restaurant. I never got a meal because I couldn't afford it once I got in there. But even there, the chips weren't £6. So that might be the most... Let me know in the comments. Has anyone ever seen a more expensive portion of chips than £6? Because I think you might have set a world record there, mate, to be honest. We're going to bring Phil Richards on for Xavier, a different sub today. Bonner off, Fabio on, and Torres replaced by Jack Vaughan today. We'll leave Lowry off the bench for a day. Can't take Balogun off. He scored his goal. He's ended his drought. That's all we wanted. Craig, I can't remember that. Jonah, well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. £6's got to be the most. L Gaming, if you ever want to do a Discord channel or something, I can help set it up. I mean, it's something I realise I'm going to have to do something in future, because nearly all the YouTubers have it. I'd never heard of it until about 2 months ago, and suddenly everyone's popping up with Discord servers as we win the game. I said we'd win the Villa game, and we have 2-0. Balogun ends his goal drought, and we scored a set piece. We're back on form. Burnley are back. Now we've got City in 3 days, so it might end very quickly. But yeah, I don't think there's more expensive chips than £6. And I do know that at some point I'll have to set up a Discord. But for now, again, I'm trying to keep it as basic as possible, because I don't want to set up a Discord and then be barely present, because when I'm working in my day job, I can't really have a look at it. Back in 5 minutes, no problem. Thanks for coming along. Porky, what team do I follow? I follow Luton Town. So I'm born in Luton. I've grown up in Luton. I live in Luton. I'm a season ticket holder. We've tried to get to lots of away games. It's the inspiration behind the Review the 92 series on a Sunday, talking about the grounds we visited during lockdown, rank them on certain areas, etc. But I try to get the games every week if I can. Just seen a Luton poll. Should David Healy be sacked? Charlie will like that one. David Healy in charge of Luton Town. Fabio showing progress, starting to make appearances. He's going to become homegrown at the club. What team do you follow, Porky? Who do you follow? But for Luton, obviously, it's a desperate end to the season. Is that Balogun the Arsenal kid? I don't think it is. I think this one's a regen. Let me have a look. No, it's not. It's a regen. I'll look for the other Balogun. What's his name? I can't remember what his first name is. I'm sure if there it is. Following. He's at Toronto, Tom. Not quite made it to the level he'd expect. He's played at Leicester, Rangers, Alaves. And he played 1 game for Arsenal, scored, and then never got another game. Interesting. But yeah, over in the MLS, not quite worked out for him. Thank you to everyone joining along. It's great to see so many of you here on a Tuesday morning. I mean, I know we normally prop up about 11 o'clock, but this is probably better than it's been most weeks. So thank you so much. Please do put a thumbs up on the video if you haven't already. It makes such a difference. If you've come along late and you've missed a bit, you'll be able to catch up. There'll be a full live stream replay afterwards. And apologies for the fact we've barely focused on FM. We've basically just talked football for an hour and a half, but football's back, so why not? We'll try not to talk politics and stuff too much, but there's the odd bit where I just can't not have my say, unfortunately. And we're playing top sides again. Manchester City second, and then we've got Leeds who are up in 5th. Where did they finish last year? I'm sure they were in the Championship, weren't they? No, they were in the Premier League. Where did they finish last season? Leeds were 12th. So they're having a very good season. But after that Villa game, I'm not as worried. We'll probably have a few tired legs for the City game, and this one will be a bit harder. But hopefully Sunday Balogun's back in super form now. What's the one thing you would like the most in the next FM? To be honest, based on the head coach, what I would like is the director of football to work effectively. So, and I mean by that they can transfer list players and take full ownership of transfers. Because at the moment, they deal with offers that come in and they deal with players that are unhappy and whatever. But they don't just say, that player's not good enough, I'm going to transfer list him. Which I'd love to be able to do for my save. Trying to think of other features, just little things. Do you know what I'd like? Short corners to work, like in the last minute, just to naturally time waste, keep it in the corner flag. Ashley Harrett's gone up to 3.5 star now. That kid is flying. And we've got the 3rd round FA Cup draw. Who have we got? And we'll come back to the comments after. Lee 2 Blackpool. So some youngsters will play in that one and hopefully we'll get a result. Porky Chelsea fan. So good season for you. Played well at the weekend. And obviously, again, a good young side. Sort of doing their own Youth Academy challenge there. Timo Werner, again, very good signing. I'm sure Chelsea are going to have a good season next year. But there's 4 or 5 sides up there competing for that top 4 places. And next season, I think Wolves will be up there, as we mentioned earlier. I think United will step up again. Tottenham's the unpredictable one. But I can't see Arsenal getting there. Thoughts on potential September return to football for step 5 and 6 in non-league? I would be delighted, Craig. I mean, the thing that's hard is what they're going to do supporter-wise. So sort of you're obviously coaching step 7 and that's, 20 people, 30 people at the games, depending on the game. So I'd love that in the sense that I'd be able to go and watch football again. I'd happily stroll around the corner to watch your games. We've done a matchday vlog there before, which did really well. So there's obviously an appetite for non-league football. And I think people will get more involved with non-league games afterwards, which will be great. We've got Ashley Harrott slightly tired, so I'm going to bring Phil Richards in. And onto the bench will come Trevor O'Callaghan. Harrott just gets a rest and we'll get into City. Probably the last game of the morning. So unfortunately, I've got an interview for the podcast at midday. I'm interviewing a pro, so I can't be late for that. Charlie, on a side note, you can't get a pie in any football ground in Northern Ireland. When I was at Glentoran, I had to settle for a burger. Had the consistency of a tyre. Yeah, we sort of had a debate about this, didn't we? Because I think that was the same day we did our Hemel Hempstead Slough vlog and you were doing Glentoran Ballymena. And that was the day we discovered that pies weren't a thing in Northern Irish football grounds. Which for English fans obviously is bizarre, but hey-ho, as long as you can get something like a burger, a hot dog. I used to love it in the summer months in non-league pre-season because you could go along and they'd always be doing a barbecue. And you could get a proper burnt hot dog sausage. And it was just unbelievable. That's proper non-league football, that. We're going to drop to balanced against City. They've had the early chances and hopefully we can get at least a point. Is there a football ground that is shaped differently in the UK? Craig and Charlie are having digs at each other here. Charlie, you can go through your description in that vlog if you want. L Gaming, I love the atmosphere of non-league football. Couldn't agree more. I mean, when Luton were in a conference, I know I moan about some of the grounds, but it was brilliant. I love the opportunity to go to them. Myself and Craig, we've been to Hemel this year. We went to Hitchin last year. They had a big FA Cup time. We've been to a couple of others. Not going to St Albans because they charge more than Football League clubs. But yeah, I love those sort of small field grounds, the terraces. It's just brilliant. I think, what was the other one we went to? Correct me if I'm wrong, Craig and Charlie. Was it Tring Athletic we went to watch Crawley under-18s? It was the classic non-league. You get tea in a mug for £1, a bag of crisps for 80p, a can of Coke, and a little tiny wooden terrace to sit in. That's how it should be. Non-league football is definitely the best, and I'll be happy if I get to go back there soon. Thank you to everyone joining along still. The number of views still creeping up. It's incredible. Please do put a thumbs up if you haven't already. Thank you so much for the football chat this morning. Keeps us all sane at the moment, doesn't it? And as we come towards half-time, I was about to say, it looks like we're going to be 0-0, but City have got a dangerous free kick now. Phil Foden's still there, takes it just wide. Summerskill taking no chances, tips it over. But to be honest, it was nowhere near the goal. He's going to deliver the corner as well, Foden. I mean, what a player he is as well. Couple of goals last night. He was brilliant against Burnley, ironically. Absolutely slaughtered them. As Trevino picks it up on the right, delivers into the box, and the highlight ends. But City are getting on the front foot now. Bonte heads over. I recognise that name as well. Where do I recognise that name from? I'm sure it's from Gladbach. But at half-time, we've done okay. So we're going to praise the lads. And we're going to get into the second half for the final game of the morning. Tim Jenkinson, welcome along. Good to see you. Haven't seen you on the stream before. Thanks for popping in. Porky, I go and watch Havant and Waterlooville a lot. Charlie will like that. He had a trial there when he was a kid. I think he was involved in the youth team, so that's great. I really do enjoy non-league football. Havant, of course, in the playoffs that look set to go ahead now. They've got Paul Doswell in charge, who was at Sutton for years, moved closer to home. You've got a really good manager and set up there, so I wish Havant the best, and I hope Paul Doswell takes them up, because I predicted it. Tring Athletic, yes, it was there we went. I'm sure it was. 15 minutes left. Let's just see out this highlight, and then we'll make changes. And hopefully we can hold on for a draw. It'd be a really good way to end the morning. We will skip ahead to the next game and still carry on with the chat. Get going till at least 11:30. There's a great save from Summerskill to tip one wide. And then I've got to go and interview Keston Davis, I'm afraid. We've got a big interview coming out on the podcast channel today, actually. We've got an England Women's International playing for Brighton, who are obviously back in the Premier League tonight. She's played for Everton, won the FA Cup. Came through the Liverpool Youth Academy. Played for Notts County Ladies when they were near the top as well. So I was really looking forward to it. I've gained so much admiration for her. More than any interview I've done. Fern Whelan. She was brilliant. I mean, the way she talked about coming back from injuries and repeated career-ending injuries, it's a motivation that I and most pros that we've spoken to haven't had. So I can't have more admiration for her. She's a brilliant pro. And she's working under the former England manager, Hope Powell, now at Brighton. So I wish her all the best. And we got John Shaw at the weekend, the South Shields captain. Played for Luton, another one of my former clubs. So another one from my favourite club, sorry. I said former club there. But obviously starred in National League for Gateshead. Played for Sheffield Wednesday in League One. Really good player. Tim Jenkinson. Jersey are an interesting team. They're doing amazingly in their first season before it got cancelled. Yeah, there's a bit of interest around that. I guess the one that sticks out recently is probably Guernsey, because they obviously were paying for the flights and things like that. And for them to not get a final to the season and to get the income from it is a bit harsh. But it's an experience for players as well. They've already announced that it looks like the funding for the FA Cup and VARs are going to be half next year. The grants are going to be taken away in the lower steps of non-league football. It's just, I mean, it looks like it's killing non-league clubs, to be honest. I really worry about it moving forward. Well, they had women's football in FM21. So they've always mentioned it. Miles Jacobson's mentioned it before. It's just a financial thing that they can't afford it at the moment, unfortunately. They'd love to have it in, but they want to do it properly. And I've got no issue with that. But it would be great if it could be in there in the future. And even for like FIFA and that, if they could, they've got massive budgets. If they could include the domestic game, that would be great too. I love going Newcastle Town in the Evo stick. Yeah, I mean, it just proves how important non-league football is. Everyone here, yes, you support a football league or Premier League club, but everyone loves that. Everyone wants to go to a non-league ground at some point, and it's where a lot of our memories start. For me, it's walking 10 minutes round the corner to Crawley Green Reserves in Step 7. And you're watching people who are doing it because they love it, you know. You see the dodgy lino decisions, the laughs as people are going through it. Goalmouth scrambles are plenty, bizarre set pieces. It's what football is. It's brilliant. El Gaiman, sit by him if you mean bootlegger. Yeah, I spoke to him once before. He says, sorry for the language, kids. Oh, dear. Tim, I wonder if... yeah, we spoke about women's football, haven't we? Can be funny, but great to talk to. Yeah, do you know what? You know the bootlegger thing, and even people like the vloggers that go to games, and I'm talking about the lower level ones, like the Ellis away days. I'm trying to think of others. Stump Peg, she's brilliant, I think. I'm not talking about the bigger top 6 clubs, as we've got a job offer interview, which we're going to decline, of course. But it's good to see we're still getting interest. We must be doing something right. But yeah, they're all just covering lower league football and doing their best, so... Most of them care about the game in the same way as us. It's what we're doing over on our podcast. So, you know, I'm not going to begrudge anyone who does that. As long as they're not just being controversial for the sake of it. Unfortunately, some of the mainstream media have got there. It's something we desperately try to avoid. But, yeah, for people who just want to give an honest opinion and go and enjoy football and share it with people, for me, I've no issue at all. Porky, I hope so. Yeah, me too. I really do hope they go up. Love to go to Havant and Waterlooville. I'm trying to do the 92 and Barrow have just come up to League 2. So I thought after doing Carlisle I ticked off the hardest one. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. But whether we'll get to go to football at that level next year, who knows. Wrexham have got people to make money and Danny Ward's money, so they'll be alright. Tim, it's sad that Manchester United are taking legal action against FM. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to win them any fans, is it? I kind of get it, but they're not using the badge. They're not encouraging people to, as they suggest. So, yeah, not going to get involved with that. Porky Mild Dear is a massive woman, a little girl football fan, so I've been to a fair few games. Oh, good. To be honest, I love the fact that women's football in particular is now going into the bigger stadiums more often. And obviously before the lockdown, it was attracting big crowds, which is great. I mean, it should be. The only reason it's not well supported in comparison to the men's game is because historically it hasn't got that fan base, you know. The clubs at these levels have got used to having tribal commitments. And that will happen in the women's game over a generation or two, and it will become a brilliantly supported sport. And it deserves it, because the standard has increased leaps and bounds so quickly. The big sponsorship for the Women's Super League is now going to mean that people can go fully professional, and it's just coming on leaps and bounds. The Women's World Cup was great. I want the women's game to do well. And the people we've spoken to some pros. So obviously we mentioned Fern Whelan tonight. Charlie spoke to Emma Lippmann. We've spoken to Julia Simic, a German international. They're all good people. They're the same as the men's game. Most of them are good people and they just want to succeed. Craig, best shout at football grounds. Tequila at Tranmere away. I mean, that changed my life. It changed yours. With that Watford Tranmere vlog where somehow we got 3,000 views from the middle of nowhere. And what a shout it was. It's brilliant. Nathan Holt is a good non-league blogger. I haven't heard of him actually. I'll go and check him out. It's people like that actually. It's the one area we haven't tapped into in our podcast interviews. So we've done a media person within a football club. We've done players, coaches. We've had someone recently on the physio and sports science side. We've had people on the sort of scouting and agent side. But we haven't had anyone from that side yet. So it would be nice to get another one of those on. So I'll check out Nathan Holt. We focus on lower league and non-league. So I'd like to get someone like that on. Smith does great football vlogs. Check it out. Will do. I used to do Wrexham vlogs. Still do a few on my account. I'll go and have a little look afterwards. So over on our podcast, we've been doing vlogs for sort of lower league and non-league games. It's just something we really enjoy. We avoid the Premier League. We do Football League, non-league, FA Cup, League Cup, FA Trophy Vars. We only decided to do them about October, November time. Before that, we were going to games and not vlogging it. I mean, the one that I always suggest on here is non-league finals day. Always the best day out. FA Vars final, FA Trophy final, 25 quid for the day. 2 games at Wembley, you can't go wrong. So hopefully, if we are allowed to go in 2021 to the FA Vars and Trophy final, we'll try and make a day of it. We'll organise something between this channel and the podcast channel. And we'll all just go and have a great day out. Because we're always there. We're doing a match day vlog. We can get some fan interviews from people who are there if any of you are about. Just have a good time. Why not? There's an hour and a half between the games. We can get to know people a bit better. So there you go. There's my big plan for 2021. Providing coronavirus doesn't ruin it again. We're going to make a load of the kids available for the under-23s. The keeper's got a knock. Oh no, we've got Leeds on Monday. I'm going to have to leave it, I think. Yeah, I'll have to take them out. We need everyone fit for the Premier League game. We'll get ahead to Monday. We'll see what the weekend fixture results are. And then we'll see where it leaves us going into the next episode next Tuesday. Thank you so much to everyone that's joined along this morning, though. The chat just gets more and more active each week. It's great to see all the familiar faces. And each week there's been a couple of new ones as well. So thank you all for coming along. As I've said, this is only my 6th ever live stream. So there will be parts of it that aren't quite right yet. And please do bear with me as that's the case. And please forgive me for it being slightly shorter today due to the interview. Unfortunately, things got in the way for Keston. He's looking after the kids this afternoon, I think. We were planning to do 2 o'clock initially, so we've had to move it back to 12. But I'm getting to interview professional footballers every week. It's a dream come true. I'm a football fan. I'm interviewing people from all sorts of levels of the pyramid. I'm interviewing people who have been heroes for me in FM. And it's absolutely great. Charlie Betts, Quincy Rowe, there you go. Best cup final I've ever seen. That FA Vars final last year was brilliant. We went to the game, probably for the trophy final more so. I think we have to be fair and say that. It was Fylde v Orient. And obviously Orient had just got promoted. Bless him, Justin Edinburgh was in charge at the time. His final game, unfortunately, before he passed away. AFC Fylde had Danny Rowe, who's obviously gone on to the Football League now. But that first game really shocked us. Chertsey v Crave Valley, both brilliantly supported. There was a bit of like friendly banter between the two fans, which was amazing. Kevin Lisby, the old Charlton striker, turned up front for Crave Valley. Michael Malcolm, who'd been on trial at Luton about a decade before, he turned up as well. I mean, it's just so many brilliant things. I mean, I absolutely loved that day out, and Quincy Rowe scored a banger from 25 yards. I'll start doing proper ones next year if it starts. I had school trouble last year, so I sorted that out. I want to start making stuff and upload them. Yeah, go for it. There's no harm in showing football. I mean, if one person watches it and enjoys it, or then goes to a Wrexham game, or goes to a non-league football ground local to them because they've seen our vlog, your vlog, someone else's, then football's the winner. So no problem for me with that. I would always recommend people to do it. Just don't be controversial for the sake of it. Porky, I'll watch your older videos now. It'll make you feel better, I promise you. Some of the old ones, I mean, I leave them on there for the laugh so people can see the journey, but they are hilarious. It's probably only the last 2 or 3 months we found our style. We're doing it on an old laptop with a headset. The quality is a different level. L Gaming, best cup final I've been to is North Ferriby. Yes, North Ferriby, Wrexham. North Ferriby won it on penalties, didn't they? Or in extra time? I'm trying to remember. It was 3-3. It was the first year that BT was showing the FA Trophy final. The first year they were on TV. It was a brilliant cup final. I really, really loved it. That's probably the year that I fell in love with the FA Trophy, if I'm being brutally honest. I can't remember his name. Is it Robbie Dale, the 6'7" striker for Ferriby? And unfortunately, they've been reformed this year after financial trouble, and they've gone bust. They went bust. But what a club! What a good day out, and what a game of football it was. We're going to save it here as we reach the Leeds game. We'll go and have a look at the table in a minute to round up. Yeah, penalty kicks. It was a brilliant game, though. Thank you to everyone that stuck with it this morning. Porky, appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Let's have a quick look at what the outcomes are in the table. Obviously, we've got Leeds at home who are 5th. That will be the start of the next stream. But after that Villa game and then the draw against City, I'm a bit more confident. We've done really well. The lads have recovered from a poor start, a couple of poor games. Lewis Maltplayer to Wrexham, he's now at Preston. Yeah. Did he go via... Was he at... I'm trying to work out if I've mixed them up. Was he at Motherwell? Lewis Malt. I'm just trying to work that out. I'm going to see if I can have a look. I'll probably break the stream trying to look at the same time. But we'll have a look. Let me know if the quality disappears suddenly because I'm looking him up. He was at Motherwell. I knew it. Had a good spell up in Scotland. On BT, I get to see a few of the games there. Obviously, I don't get to see the EFL because I haven't got Sky Sports. We're just waiting for this to save. We'll wrap up the table in the weekend's fixtures and show you where we'll be coming back next Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday 10 a.m. if you're new along. So come and say hello, get involved. You've seen it's great hanging out in the chat. There's loads of good people about. And we just talk football. What more can you want? It's the perfect way to spend it. If you haven't yet and you're still here, please do put a thumbs up on it. It does make a big difference. If you've missed any of the stream and you want to catch up, there's a full replay afterwards. Normally takes about an hour or two to upload. But let's look at the table before we finish off. We're in 15th place, but that mid-table area is really tight. Probably from Villa down. So Derby in 17th. So we're 4 points clear of the relegation zone with this game in hand. If we win it, we go on to 18 points. With our goal difference, we'll probably be 13th, but level with 11th. And then only 7 points off Leeds in those European places. So after a terrible run, we expected today's episode to be really hard. And actually, with a draw against United and City, we've probably done better than we expected. We didn't get battered by anyone. Sunday Balogun ended his goal drought against Villa. Hopefully he'll continue today. And in the next episode, which will make it a bit longer next Tuesday, because I've got Tuesday and Wednesday off work, so I can do a little bit of a longer stream. Hopefully, we can get 6 or 7 games in. Maybe get to the FA Cup tie, avoid the banana skin, and try and get on a little run there. And get back up competing for Europe like we were this year. But all I can say is thank you so much for joining this morning. I've had a real great time. We've barely had to commentate because we've just been talking football for an hour and a half. It's incredible to do. It's my favourite part of the morning. So thank you all for being so active. I hope it's given you a bit of respite from the outside world and your work and your school, whatever you're doing. What's the funniest commentary you've watched, present or past? I'll finish on that question. The best commentary, the Aguero moment, yeah. There's some interesting ones. I'm going to give you a proper answer to that next week because I want to give a good answer to that rather than a quick one. I'll think about commentary though. I've got a couple in my head. I'll go and listen back to them and then choose between one, and then I'll put clips in the description to the video next week. But thank you so much for joining along this morning. I do appreciate you all taking your time out. If you haven't already and you're new to the channel, then please do subscribe, turn the notifications on. We'll be back at 4:30 this afternoon with the head coach. Don't forget we'll have that video live. It is the start of season summer transfer special from Gladbach and the Super Cup final in Germany. It's Bayern Munich against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Will we be able to win again? If you haven't already, please put a thumbs up on it. Let me know in the comments to the video later what you thought of this stream. And thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. And hopefully I'll see you the same time next week for another one. Take care. Have a good week.